Family. All right. I just want to hop on here, give you guys my perspective on this whole vegan versus carnivore thing. So there's an increasing interest in the world in health, right? And I think a lot of that came from the event that happened in 2020. A lot of people got worried about getting sick. A lot of people got more and more interested in how to stay healthy. And of course, a lot of debates ensued about what's the best way to do that. Some people resorted to pharmacological methods and took certain sharp things in their arms. Cheers, by the way, I'm having my morning coffee. So that's one way to do it. Then there was another camp of people that said, well, that's preposterous on a lot of levels because first of all, this sharp thing hasn't been adequately tested. It was rushed into production, and we have no idea what the long-term effects of it are. And those are facts. And that's really sound reason and logic not to take the thing. All right. So I just want to make it clear. I'm not somebody that judges anybody's personal decisions. I'm somebody that believes in individual sovereignty of choice. If you wanted to take a sharp thing, if you thought that was the best course of action, cool. You should be able to do that. If you don't want to do that, cool. You should be able to do that too. And I want to say the same thing about vegan versus carnivore, right? If you feel that eating nothing but plants is the best course of action for you, if that's what resonates with your heart and soul, and if you eat that way and you find that it works for you, and you feel like you are the best version of yourself on that diet, then by all means stick to it. If you find that that diet isn't serving you, if you find that you're not the best version of yourself, and a lot of people have found this. So I'm somebody, by the way, that has done vegan. I was a raw vegan for about a year straight. I was a vegetarian for many years. Currently, I do both. I kind of go back and forth. So I'm somebody that really believes that there is no one size fits all, and it really has a lot to do with what it is that you're trying to achieve in life, okay? And it also has a lot to do with your genetics, your blood type, your environment. All of these things factor in. So I want to give some credence to both sides of this, okay? And before I get into this, actually, I want to mention that it's no accident that this turns into a debate, right? We're given endless things to be divided about. Right versus left, Republican versus Democrat, vegan versus carnivore, one team versus West versus East, West Coast, East Coast rappers, I mean, it's I could go on and on. It's endless. The ways that are, devised to divide us. And then the way that popular culture and the algorithms on the internet love to promote anything that causes division. So really the deeper, thing going on here is that this is all divide and conquer tactics. There's a small group of people here that have a lot of money and power, and they just love it when we're at odds with each other arguing about this stuff. And they love for certain people to be really self-righteous and say, vegan's the only way, screw you carnivores, you're terrible people harming innocent animals. And then the carnivore, the extreme people on the other end would be like, you vegans are like soy boy, wussies, Look, neither extreme is right, okay? So I'll tell you what works for me, you guys. Logic and reason and following my intuition and doing what makes me the best version of myself, all right? So as far as vegan goes, let me give some credit where credit is due, all right? The animal farming industry, the large-scale animal farming industry is absolutely disgusting. I mean, the way that these animals are treated is terrible. So to take a moral stance on this and say, I'm not going to support that and I'm going to eat plants is noble, and it's a great idea. And there are a lot of benefits that you could receive from abstaining from eating meat for a period of time. Me personally, after a while, what happened was I started to get less and less vital. I had less energy, and I was less effective at living my life, at accomplishing things. And so I had to switch gears a little bit. However, the vegan stuff I did allowed me to heal from certain things. And I think abstaining from certain meats, because a lot of times we don't really know, unless you hunted the animal yourself or you got it from a local farm, you really don't know how that animal was treated, right? And really everything is energy. So if that animal was in fear and had a lot of hormones shot into it, then eating nothing but that meat is probably not going to do you too many favors. But so that's to give credit to the vegans, okay? So, and yes, animals do deserve our compassion. But one thing they seem to be missing is that you can treat an animal very compassionately. It can have a very happy life, and you can eat its eggs, right? You can drink its milk. These are animal products that vegans don't consume. However, you can do this without any sort of cruelty involved. And it turns out that eggs and raw milk are incredibly healthy for humans in general. So there's that. So full-on veganism, in my opinion, is an extreme. And because it's an extreme, it's not a long-term sustainable option. It's a great thing to do for periods. It's like a form of fasting, a form of cleansing. I'm all about raw juice fasting and fasting in general, okay? Great idea to do that, especially if you're a regular meat eater. Take a break from meat sometimes. Highly suggest that. So, but then to credit the carnivore side of things, one thing that the vegans seem to be missing outside of eggs and raw milk is that large-scale agriculture, let's say, for example, if you're somebody that eats a lot of avocados or you eat a lot of grains, to farm those grains, to farm those avocados, to farm even large-scale fruit orchards, a lot of animals die. Like gophers, for example. There's a lot of animals that die in the process of clearing out that land to farm on, right? Almonds, for example, if you're an almond milk drinker, the amount of water and resources it takes to farm almonds is extreme. And a lot of animals, innocent animals, die in the process. So if you're eating a ton of almonds and drinking almond milk, that's not cruelty-free. So there's some illogic going on here, all right? So you can't be a full-on vegan and say that I'm not harming any animals. Yes, you are. So that's the thing about this is like there's really no way around it. If you're a human being, unless you are going to live on nothing but fruit from a tree in your own yard on a small scale, you can't really claim to be not harming animals. All right? That's maybe a worthy goal, and some people might be able to achieve that. But then the real test would be, well, how is your health long-term living that way? And that's a personal experiment. And if you can live off of fruit in your yard and thrive and be healthy and happy, great. If you find that it's not enough and you're not as mentally clear, you're not as energetic, and you're not as physically strong as you could or should be, then maybe it's time to check out some raw milk, some eggs, or maybe even some meat. All right? Now there's a way to harvest meat that isn't exactly cruel. So in nature, this is the other thing about veganism that really doesn't make sense to me. So these people, I understand the motive and I respect it. I respect the heart-centered motivation for this. But the reality is that all day long in nature, in the woods, animals are eating each other. Okay? This is just part of nature. If you just watch, the Discovery Channel, look at what goes on in the Sahara. Look at what goes on in Africa, okay? You got animals hunting each other. And the way that like a lion kills an antelope, it's cruel. A human could do it and cause that antelope a lot less pain with a bullet or a very skilled bowman, arrow, whatever you archer, very skilled archer. If you were to strike that animal directly in the heart or in the brain, that animal might not feel any pain. And then you could use all parts of that animal to support your own health and well-being. You could bring that animal back to the village and feed your community and clothe them and use the bones and the skin and everything, every part of the animal. All right? So there's no avoiding animals suffering. It's part of nature. It is what it is. So to pretend that you can disclude yourself from that, in my opinion, is a little bit delusional. But like I said, I don't want to take a side here. Right now, I've been vegan for the last 36 to 48 hours. I don't know how long. I've been eating nothing but plants. And I'm taking a break from meat. Why? Because it feels right. Because I was eating quite a bit of meat because I was training pretty hard in the gym, and I felt compelled to do this. Listen to my body. My body said, hey, dude, take a break. So I said, okay, and I'm taking a break. And when my body says, hey, dude, I really need some protein, I really need some animal fats, I'll say, okay, body, and I'll give it those things. And I'll try to source those things from the most trustworthy sources that I can, you know? So, all right. There's my 2 cents on vegan versus carnivore. I like both of them. Both of them have their merits. Both of them have their flaws. I take the middle path. So, cheers.